Right, so to review, you've got two forces in Europe. You've got the conservative order trying to keep things the same. You've got the liberals trying to change things. They want to be as free as possible from government control, and they are opposing ideas, right? So you've got conservatives, they like tradition, they like stability, obedience to political authority, traditional religion. They're pro-monarchy. They're usually anti-democracy, certainly anti-universal male suffrage. Then you have liberalism. They want their civil liberties protected in the written constitution. They favor religious tolerance. They like legislative assemblies. Is often supported by the middle class. Right now, conservatism, right, is paired with that idea of balance of power. You don't want one country to get too powerful. You want everything to stay the same. That conservative Europe and the principle of intervention. Liberalism often works with nationalism. Liberalists and nationalists were often, not always, but often the same thing. So in 1830, you see a burst of revolution. France overthrows the very conservative King Charles X. He was trying to rule old school way, and the French people were having none of it. And so they rebel and create a constitutional monarchy and put a member of the Bourbon family named Louis Philippe on the throne, right? So that is liberalism at work. That was liberalist rebelling against the conservative Charles X. Now, most of the other rebellions in 1830 fell. Belgium was successful and it gains its independence, but there was a rebellion in Poland and it fails, for instance. In 1830, the conservative order is just too strong. Then in 1848, there's another wave of revolutions that sweeps across Europe. There's another French Revolution because there are continued economic problems that are taking place in France, and so they rebel against Louis Philippe. They create a constitution assembly based on universal male suffrage. Eventually, this assembly writes a new constitution. They have an election for this brand new French Republic, and they elect Louis Napoleon president of the Second Republic. Of course, that name Napoleon should sound familiar. This is actually the nephew of Napoleon Bonaparte. It's like the French are hoping that he has some of that old Napoleonic magic that he will be able to make France great again. So this is another liberal revolution. Now, in the Germanic states, there was no country called Germany. What you had after the fall of Napoleon was a 38 state German confederation made up of a bunch of different Germanic kingdoms, like Prussia, for instance. And so there was no unified country, right? But inspired by what was going on in France, right? There was an assembly in the city of Frankfurt, and the Germanic states sent representatives to Frankfurt to try to figure out how to unify Germany. Unfortunately, no solution could be found because they couldn't necessarily decide on what this brand new Germany would look like, how it would be structured, who would be in charge of it. So it basically fizzles out. Then you had revolutions in Austria in 1848, because don't forget, Austria is a multinational state. Not everyone in the Austrian Empire was Austrian. You had Germans, you had Czechs, Hungarians, Slovaks, Romanians, Slovenes, Poles, Croats, Serbs, and Italians. And many of them wanted to leave the Austrian Empire and form their own country. And so there's a wave of rebellions, but they are crushed by the Austrians, particularly with help from Russia. That's the principle of intervention at work. There is a wave of revolutions in the Italian states. There's no country called Italy. On the Italian peninsula, you had a series of Italian kingdoms. Many of the northern ones controlled by Austria. That those rebellions are also crushed with help of the French, right? So in 1848, the conservative order, it's too strong, it's too unified. So in 1830, France overthrows Charles X and puts Louis Philippe on the throne. That was a liberal success. Belgium gains its independence from the Dutch. That's a nationalist success. The Polish revolt is crushed by Russia. That is a nationalistic failure. And the Italian revolt is crushed by Austria and other nationalist failure. In 1848, France overthrows Louis Philippe and becomes a republic and elects Louis Napoleon to be its president. That is a liberal success. The Frankfurt Assembly fails to unite Germany. That's a failure of the liberalists and the nationalists. Austria crushes a Hungarian revolution with help from Russia, that is intervention at work, and also crushes the Czech rebels. And then the effort to unite Austria fails. The effort to unite Italy fails. Austria is able to crush those rebellions with some help of the French once more. Again, that is intervention at work. The conservative order is still too strong in 1848. But if these countries that are members of the concert of Europe who are intervening to help each other, if they ever have a falling out, if there's ever a reason why the concert of Europe will break up and the countries won't help each other out, all these liberals and nationalists are going to rebel again. And without help, maybe some of these revolutions are going to succeed.